Life is so short, right? Life is just short. And if you are not clear why you are here, honestly, you are missing the real point why you are here and why God has put you here. And I remember I almost lost my husband. He was so sick, and every single day during COVID, guys, there was one person in our network who died for a whole month. Every single day you would wake up and say, this one is gone, and that one is gone, and that one is gone. And I remember making a very difficult decision with my husband, and my husband saying, you know what, you have to fly. You have to go. Because if you can't go, if anything happens to me now, when we are here in Africa, you are not going to be able to travel back to the UK. Things are going to fold on you, and we are all going to be done. And I would rather die knowing that you are okay. You know, we had that conversation in our house. That was COVID. And so pre-COVID, 2019 December, we had run our Dream Blazers Millionaire Mindset Retreat. And I told myself, this is the last time I'm doing these things. Like, God, I don't have the capacity. I would love to, but it's the last time. But when COVID happened, and then it was dead, 2020, 21, and 22, and that thing started to stay back in my heart again. And I'm like, God, but why? I don't have the time. I don't have the capacity. But that realization for me during that COVID time stirred back this thing in me, that we have to raise an army of women. My purpose, I believe, okay, this is my purpose. I'm going to share with you how now that purpose, I've connected all the dots and I'm here now. So I believe that from where I sit now in everything that I'm doing, I genuinely believe that God has handpicked some people with his big plan and his purpose. He definitely has picked those people, and I'm one of them. And he has chosen us for such a time like this, for our generation to be the big changes, like we are the Josephs of our time. I so believe in that scripture. I don't know if there are Christians in the room, but I just believe that God has brought us out of Africa, handpicked us, placed us in this land, whatever where we are, whatever we are staying, right? He wants to empower us and equip us. And I believe that with the keys we are going to be holding and having, we hold the keys to be the change. From wherever he has picked up us from, we are the keys. We are the people who are going to bring that change that we want, wherever we come from. God has chosen us and handpicked us, and is in the process of using us and positioning us and putting us in places of power and places of authority and places of control, so that his plan can be fulfilled before we leave this planet. Because we were saved through COVID. I'm telling you guys, I could write a book. God saved us even through COVID. There's nothing very special about us that we survived, because people around us were dropping like flies. Just like that, you know. And I remember me having a conversation with my husband, and he's saying, you've got all these cars parked. We've got nice cars. My husband loves cars, okay? So he's got them top of the range cars parked. But he slept in that bed that day, and nobody could have driven. Those cars, all those physical possessions would have been left that day. Just think about it. The things that we worry about so much, the possessions, I've got a big house here, big house there, and this car here and this. And I realized that it all doesn't mean anything at all. If God was to take us back to say, I'm done, what would I have said we would have done? You know? And so I genuinely believe that the Joseph anointing is on our lives. God wants to use us. If you believe in God, Allah, whatever you believe in. But there must be a bigger picture why you are on this planet Earth. And we all must be here to do something, change something, you know, and go, and impact and go. So because of that, my space is supporting women. Because I believe that if you can change a woman, you can change a whole generation. You can change a family. And my heart is so happy that we've got all these moms that have brought these young girls, right? and we've got one boy as well here. Just because if we can plant those seeds, they make a difference. Because for me, I was 5 years old when I went to church and I listened to the church teacher, and they told me that you are chosen, and they told me that you are God's child, and they told me that I can do anything. And so I have believed those things throughout my life. So can you imagine these workshops and these meetings that we have right now? If I can just leave one footprint in you, that you are chosen for today, for now, God is ready for you to make loads of money. There is actually a lot of money available for all of us. There is plenty of it, But what do you want to do with it? If you were given it today, what would you do? And if you can have clarity around that picture, and if you can have clarity around how would your life look like, what would you be doing if you didn't have to go to work, if you didn't have to wake up and think and worry about bills, if you didn't have to wake up and think about what to wear, the next designer or the next whatever, and never stress about the running of the actual business, because that money, you would have all of it. You will have a heap of it somewhere. What would you be doing? And that clarity, for me, I found it. I found that what I'm doing today, I love it. I love it when I support another person and they come back to me and tell me, oh my gosh, Fungai, this is what I'm now doing. I could be doing that. I wouldn't need to be paid. I wouldn't need to be doing anything. So that's what keeps me happy and going. So I do that in my spare time, right? I run all these businesses, but that's the thing that keeps me ticking outside making money, outside making the business. And because I've allowed myself to dream and see beyond the money, it's amazing how that energy brings the money to me. I don't have to be looking for money. People look for me because they want what's in me. And so I find myself in networks where they are looking for Black women, for example, in tech. Let's use that as an example. And I find myself being asked to come and contribute, and then I get paid for it. But my intention when I started the journey was never about the money. I really want you guys to get that right. So pursue and chase that thing, that if all the money was here today and you had all of it and you didn't know what to do with it, what would you be doing? What would make you wake up every day and say, oh my gosh, I've got a reason to live again. I've got a reason to wake up. And if we have that clarity, we can then work our way back to say, okay, this is the picture. God, give me the money so that I can be released. We all need to be released from chasing the money. And then when we are released from chasing the money, what happens is that money is provided for us to be doing those things. Yeah, so I will talk a little bit about that picture, how you put that structures and how you work on those structures later on. But I really wanted to introduce this from this perspective, that if you can twist and tune your mind, if you can allow that energy or that God or Allah or whoever to say, or the creator to say, please help me unlock why I'm here. What am I supposed to be doing? And my purpose. Why am I here? Why? If we can ask those questions and start pursuing them, we start to draw these pictures, which makes us see this vision where probably you are running an amazing academy doing whatever and changing people's lives. Or some of you want to be impacting people's lives by, I don't know, doing so many things. If we can do that, the money conversations are going to change. And the businesses that we then run are an extension, and they are a highway to take us to that purpose. Yeah? Okay, so with that background, let me just now circle back this COVID situation. So like I said, I had made a decision that I didn't want to be chasing money. because I had run a very successful business from 2001 to 2008-9 when the recession happened. I was running a very successful business. We started a recruitment business, me and my husband, together at Wolverhampton University. It was a sole trader. 3 years later, we became an NHS supplier. And from that time, our biggest customer has always been the NHS. It still is today. But what changed along the journey is the fact that the business was doing so well. My husband left and pursued his entrepreneurship in fintech. I stayed in the health and I became the healthcare business owner. And as I was doing that, 2008-9, the recession happened. We had physical offices across 5 cities here in England, right? Where we had full-time managers, team leaders, everyone running those offices. And then when COVID happened, you wake up, all the business owners in the house. Let me tell you something. Those contracts can be cancelled any minute, any second. Your life can change when you were turning over whatever millions or whatever to zero. That's what happened to me. I've walked that journey, so I know what I'm talking about. So you don't put your trust, your hope, and your faith in those things. It's good when business is working. It's fantastic. But it can also change overnight, and you're done. And imagine the overheads you have, the contracts you have, the lease agreements you have with all those offices, the staff you employ full-time in those offices. You don't just make somebody redundant overnight in this country. You don't wake up and think, I just want to reduce the number of staff I have now. Let me sack everyone. You don't do that. You don't. Let me tell you that nugget, right? So if you are hiring international recruitment hirers, we are hiring people, they are coming into the UK full-time. You cannot just sack them overnight. And so I had to learn and go into a university of learning. How do you make people redundant? How do you put a business into administration? So how do you kill a business and bury it and say, that's it, it's buried, and do a funeral for it, okay? Yeah, that's real stuff. But what's important is the lessons we learn through our failure, because that's what transforms us. For me, that's the first transformation journey. Because when all that has happened, when you have downgraded your lifestyle, literally, my husband's Bentley was parked on the driveway, and we agreed that, dude, we are going to get rid of this car. We put it online. The next minute it snapped. We had to drive it and take it to the new buyer and download the Ford KA. That was our car. It was a 2-seater. And that's all the car that we needed. But we were okay with that because that was necessary for such a time. That was necessary for such a time. And some of us, what kills us is because we want to keep up with the Joneses next door. Pauline has got a Range Rover. So as soon as I have my first invoice, that's the first thing I think about. When you run a purpose-driven life, guys, you've got zero pressure. You live in this safe zone. It's so safe. It's beautiful. And so you are welcome. And so for me, I've walked those roads so I can talk about it and comfortably say, it's okay. Lock yourself, separate yourself from the noise, and be comfortable just living your life just like that. It's fine because you are going through the furnace and you need that process. So for me, that process, just going through that change with the recession and all those things, that's how I resurrected. And I thought, no, I'm not going to go back to work for the NHS or work for someone else. I'm not born to be like that. But what I realized was it transformed the way I thought. That's how I took advantage of the digital and decided if I was going to run a business again, I don't need no building. I don't need no location. I don't need to have real people depend, because the digital transformation journey, for those who are in England and follow the NHS policies, the NHS digital transformation journey had already started. And so you know what I did? I took that whole NHS digital transformation long-term plan. Is a very big document. But if you want to learn how to grow and do things big, you start by looking at what is the government saying at policy level. What is the government saying right now? And so I downloaded that document and I studied it. And I realized that there was new ways of doing business, and we had to learn those new ways for us to be relevant. We were struggling to recruit doctors then. That was 2009, 2010. Already there was no doctors. I don't know now. There was no doctors, right? We were the biggest supplier on the NHS, but we were struggling to find the doctors. So I thought, how can I multiply the few doctors that I have? How can I make the same doctor, it doesn't matter where they are, see 5, 10, 15, 20 people? And that's my digital transformation journey. So from running a healthcare business, making it all struggle, making it all suffer, losing everything and being okay with that, and then making a decision to say, I'm going to go back, but this time I'm going to focus on the digital, right? And another thing, guys, that happened to me, I'm going to share this nugget. The struggle is real, especially for us women, and especially for us migrant women, because you are struggling with acceptance into the land. You struggle with a lot of identity issues. You don't know who you are. You don't know if the people accept you. You don't know if they say no. You don't know if they're saying no because the way you look, or is it because it's a genuine no. So every day you have to deal with these internal struggles, right? And so it is a very lonely place. It is a very lonely space. And remember, the people you have around you are your family, your staff, and you cannot go back to them. I could have not gone back to my staff and tell them, I don't have money to pay your salary this month. I couldn't have done that. So who was I supposed to go to with this matter? Right? So you have to surround yourself with people that are doing better than you. Let me just give you this tip. Someone whom, if you want 20,000 pounds today, they can just simply say, you know what, I've just transferred it for you. That's what you need. But for you to have those people, I'll go back to the keywords Natalie says, integrity and trust. Can I trust you with my 20K that if I give you, you promise you give me next week, it's back in my account? Money requires principles. So these networks of people with money that is available to help you on your day of need, they are there. But you have to build those relationships to that level. And so when somebody extends their hand to say, okay, here you are, extend the hand back. So for me, that was number one lesson. Because during that time, the only people we could go to ask for help was my bank manager, was my accountant, was our lawyers. The real people I had around me was people who could also want to look up to me. Then I realized that I was going to drown. So I had to make an effort to look up and find other people who I can call on when I need them. So you need to create a network of those people. And how do you do it? So from one day, number one, rooms like this. Find women you are going to continue to connect and build those relationships. And then number two, I wanted to share a nugget as well, is that it's very easy then at that point when you are struggling, really struggling, to drown in your sorrows. Like we're saying, there's nobody to speak to. And sometimes you get overwhelmed with the problem and you think, this is too big, what can I do? And if you are not careful, you can tip the other side. And so again, having that network of people you can bounce. If you talk to people like myself and I'm like, no, you don't worry. This is a small thing. Don't worry about it. You will be fine, right? You just need somebody who reassures you like that. And then number three, protect your mind and protect yourself. Not everybody around you is happy. Not everybody around you is happy. Especially those people whom you are working so hard to help. And yet, they don't even appreciate that you are doing your best to help. They think you have it all. And so they are entitled. And so on that day, when you don't have that 100 pounds to give them, and 200, they are the same people who will go and they want you dead the next day. Trust me. Yet you've been doing your best to make sure they are looked after. And we have got that black tax, all of us. I don't know who doesn't. We have. And so those people, they should not be the people whom you go to confide when you have a problem. As a matter of fact, don't tell them about anything you're going through, because even if you do, they don't understand. And don't expect them to. But at the same time, don't feel that you should communicate that. All I'm saying is protect yourself. So separate yourself from that energy. You will need to figure out a way. For me, this is my tip, right? I always say, go back when you leave this workshop. Look at your contacts. Some straight from this workshop, just delete. Don't justify. Just go and delete. Click the delete button, just like that. You don't have to explain yourself. Why? Because you don't have to open that message every morning. Why? Right? So you do that. That's how you're protecting yourself. You're starting to put these walls again. And then put your contact list into compartments. This compartment is for my friends. This compartment is for these people and these people and these people. And then know who must know what season you're in at any given time. That is so important. Because that energy that those people give you at that time, and you don't need it. If you're not careful, it kills your spirit straight away. And that's it, you're done. So you kill that seed that was already starting to grow. So protect that space. And then whatever you believe in, like Natalie was saying, be grounded in it. Then stay grounded in your belief. Is it prayer that you need? Is it reading your book, your whatever? For me, I have that thing that I go to and I read and I believe.